South Africans are trying to make sense of the week of heightened political tensions that spilled into the streets and led to unprecedented looting and destruction of property. The damage to the economy is reportedly worth dozens of billions of rand, as key economic infrastructure was destroyed and hundreds of shopping centers looted. The million-dollar question now is, where do we go from here? Let's try to answer that question. Bring in our guest, Economist Dr Iraj Abedian, who joins us now to take stock of the destruction and what possibly lies ahead. Dr. Abedian, great to chat to you. Thanks very much indeed for making time for us here on the AM Report. You know, there was a lot of commentary in the wake of the arrest of the former president that the constitutional democracy of our country has passed a litmus test. To what extent do you believe that test, though, is still ongoing?
I think that, good morning, and good morning to our viewers. We are definitely in the middle of that test. By no stretch of imagination have we conclusively passed the test. I must hasten to add that as far as the people are concerned, the grassroots, you and I and the communities, there is every sign that people are committed to the constitutional democracy, to the rule of law, and to the order in the society. They do not, by any stretch of imagination, show desperation or hopelessness. In fact, they volunteer to pick up the pieces, as they say. So I think we are in the middle of it, and we have to then combine across the social structures and groupings, private, public sector, unions, and the communities to reaffirm our commitment to the constitutional democracy and, very importantly, to take care of those who have been affected and badly affected by this violence.
Yeah. What the violence has also exposed in some respects are gaps in our governance, many might say. A lot of discussions around what we saw being, I guess, the meeting point of inequality, poverty, and unemployment in this country. Are we asking the right questions about how to solve that triple barrel problem? I made that up.
And we haven't started, in my humble view, to have that type of discourse that you refer to, asking questions, exploring options. We know for sure, and we have known it for more than 30 years, and government and ministers and presidents, one after another, they have elaborated on that, that we have this massive historic gap. We have this structural unemployment, gap in wealth and access to resources, and the historic structure of our economy, concentration of wealth, concentration of access to economic opportunities.
Yeah.
So we know that. There's nothing new. How many papers have been written, and many others, including myself, have had the privilege of being part of those things. But when we look back, have we put them into practice? We have not. But far from it, we have done something else which is far more detrimental on top of the historic structural problems. And that is, we have hollowed out the capacity of the public sector. Remember, under whatever redress, whatever meeting of the gap in service delivery, whatever we want to do, we require effective and efficient public sector at the local government, at provincial and national levels. We have, unfortunately, over the past decade or so, hollowed out the capacity of the state. We have created a sort of almost legitimacy gap in the eyes of the citizens for the ability of the public sector to deliver quality education, quality health, quality water, quality policing, etc., etc. And the events of the past week or so has really brought it beyond doubt that we have that lack of effectiveness and efficiency in the public sector when it comes to security, when it comes to policing and coordination between police, security, intelligence, and even within the cabinet we see there is gap in coordination, and those are very worrying. We have to deal with them.
Yeah, there are those in our society very quickly calling for radical economic transformation. You're calling for radical ethical transformation, which I imagine is as important. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, unless we get the ethics of government rights, ethics of doing business right, ethics of running municipalities right, and seeing whoever is the mayor, the councillor, and the so-called leaders, they are there to serve the people. That office is not for self-enrichment and appointment of relatives and networks. That requires an ethics of political nature that we have forgotten. In our businesses, we cannot have CEOs and CFOs and other executives enriching themselves at the expense of the society. In our public enterprises or state-owned companies, we cannot have the type of shenanigans that we've had in ESCOM and Transnet and Denel and every other place. Those are all about ethics. And we need to really, as part of rebuilding our constitutional democracy and consolidating it, engage in a very honest and straightforward, almost brutal discussion around a radical ethical transformation in order to address some of these issues. We are not short of resources. We are not short of capabilities. But in every department of the society that we look, private and public sector, we see shortage of ethics of doing what we need to do.
Plenty full of thought there. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Really do appreciate your speaking to us. Dr. Iraj Abedian joining us there, but his reflections on what to make of the week gone by.